Queen City News continues to honor Black History Month. The popular festival celebrating African American history and culture returns to Charlotte next weekend. The African American Heritage Festival is happening February 22nd inside the Charlotte Museum of History. And there's a special theme this year that highlights the rich history in Mecklenburg County. You're maybe wondering why we're playing Beyonce's new country song and winning Country Album of the Year. It's because the theme this year obviously has to do with Black country. And we have right now to preview next weekend's event, Terry White, President and CEO of the Charlotte Museum of History. Also should note she's one of the 2024 Charlotte Teens of the Year. Terry, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about this. I want to get right to it. When we talk about country, right, and especially African Americans, there is a history there that has a stigma to it. How important is this to kind of show that Black country can also mean Black excellence?
Absolutely. One of the things that we joke about is we picked our theme before Beyonce announced her album. So this was just kismet for us that she came out and really highlighted the rich history of African Americans, not just in country music, but in rural America. North Carolina is a state that is still 2/3 rural. And whereas our previous festivals tended to highlight urban life and life in the city, we wanted to honor and recognize the fact that Mecklenburg County, until very recently, had very rural spaces, and African Americans were just as much as part of that history and the growth and development of this region as everybody else. So it seemed like a good time to highlight some undershared history.
So one of the things I love about this event is it's free. It gets you free admission to the museum.
Yes.
And you also are the fan of the Smithsonian in the DC area. I'm a big fan of that too, free museums. Talk about the fact that this is free and people can come and just learn.
Absolutely. So the festival is sponsored each year by a different organization. We're very thankful that our friends at Ally were able to sponsor this year to make this event free for the community. So not only do you get the festival, not only do you get to see the vendors and our special programs and performances, you still get to access the museum, our 8-acre campus, our historic structures, our award-winning exhibits, where normally you would have to pay an admission fee. So it's about, yes, highlighting the history of our program, but also giving access to people who don't always have the ability to go to museums and bring their families into cultural spaces.
Terry, I'm going to ask you to do something. I want you to brag a little bit, okay? Because the museum, no, here's why. Because the museum, it's unfortunately one of the best kept secrets. I don't want it to be a secret because there's so many amazing things there. Can you brag a little bit about the museum?
I mean, if you want me to. So what I'll say is Charlotte Museum of History is the second oldest museum in the city. We are the oldest history museum, and we are the caretakers of the oldest home in Mecklenburg County, the 1774 Rock House. It's one of the 20 oldest buildings in North Carolina. We also save and preserved the Siloam School, which is the last remaining Rosenwald era school that is open to the public and used for educational purposes in this county. So we really take pride in highlighting Charlotte's history from Hornets Nest to Hornets basketball and making sure that everybody sees themselves in the history and legacy that makes the Queen City what it is today.
I love that, Terry. All right, let's get back to the event. Again, February 22nd starts at 11 a.m., goes to 5 p.m. I want to talk about some of the activities, right? Because you have, starting at 11 a.m., some creative writing. We can talk about storytelling, but also a virtual tour of the Brooklyn neighborhood. I mean, Charlotte was really a hub of Black excellence. So talk about some of the events that people are going to experience when they come out there next weekend.
Absolutely. So the virtual tour of the Brooklyn neighborhood is again to highlight the way that Charlotte has grown and what have we lost in some of this development.
Yeah.
One of those things we've lost is the Brooklyn neighborhood. But as far as some other activities, we have some performances, some dance, some drum groups, and we also have a lot of vendors that are coming out representing African American owned farms and food co-ops throughout the state and throughout the region. We also have our keynote speaker, John Boyd Jr., who is the founder and president of the National Black Farmers Association. So he'll be coming to talk about the regional impacts of African American farming and how we in cities can influence and support Black farmers across the country.
Now, one thing that I do want to touch on, and I don't think we should have to, but we do, because some people think, okay, this is a Black History Month special. It's not just for Black people. Anybody can come on, and it's everybody's history, right?
It is everybody's history. If you are curious, you want to learn more, please come. This is the day to come and expose yourself to something you may not know about. We're definitely open to everybody coming. This is our largest event of the year. And we're excited to see people of all backgrounds come through the door. What we say is that no one aspect of history is private or secluded or only for a certain group of people. Everything that all cultures have done impacts all of us. So learning about African American rural history doesn't take away from anybody else. If anything, it just enhances the history and cultures that we traditionally highlight in spaces like museums and in history classrooms.
One of my favorite things that our meteorologist, Ted Phaeton, says at the end of our morning meetings is, we have a really good show, it says, I feel complete. So Terry, I want to ask you, what makes you feel complete at the museum and holding events like this?
Oh man, so there's a lot of stress and planning and organizing that goes into hosting a large event like this. But what makes me feel complete is when you see that family getting together, learning something together, little kids when their faces light up like, oh, that looks really cool. Or when an elder comes to you and says, I experienced this in my own life and thank you for sharing my story. So the summary, just seeing people connect with and relate to the stories that we interpret and that we share, it really humanizes the work that we do, and me and my team, we love it.
Well, Terry, I am complete because you have joined us this morning again. Terry White,
Thank
President
you.
and CEO, 2024 Charlotte Teen of the Year. The accolades continue. Make sure you go out next weekend, Saturday, February 22nd, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. and learn about everybody's history. It's not just our history, it's everybody's history. Again, Terry,
Absolutely.
thank you.